first official successful defense of murder by using cannabis-induced psychosis is upon us, because the woman who stabbed her boyfriend to death is going to be walking free, 2 years probation, because she said her boyfriend gave her high potency weed. So this story's coming in from Ventura County after a jury found this woman guilty in December of involuntary manslaughter and killing triggered by cannabis psychosis. Bryn Spejcher, she was sentenced Tuesday to 2 years probation and no prison time. After a jury found her guilty in December of involuntary manslaughter and a killing triggered by psychosis, sentence drew sobs of relief from Spejcher and her loved ones, while family members of the victim, 26-year-old Chad O'Melia of Thousand Oaks, exclaimed in shock and anger. "Oh my God," they said. Ventura County Superior Court Judge David Worley said his decision was based on the lack of culpability, asserting the senseless killing early morning, May 28th, 2018, was propelled by a psychotic episode. The experts for the prosecution and defense attributed to the bong hits of marijuana Spejcher and O'Melia smoked. From that point forward, she had no control over her actions, is what Worley said before announcing probation and a suspended prison sentence of 4 years. The incarceration could be imposed if Spejcher, who turns 33 on Thursday and lived in Thousand Oaks at the time of the crime, violates probation. The sentence also includes 100 hours of community service focused on raising awareness about the effects of marijuana-induced psychosis. Moments after the verdict, the victim's father, Sean O'Melia, accused Worley of bias and said the ruling set a dangerous precedent. He just gave everyone in the state of California who smokes marijuana a license to kill someone, is what he said. Spejcher's father, Mike Spejcher, declined comment. Her lawyer, Bob Schwartz, said he was happy for the family. Judge Worley did the right and courageous thing. Spejcher and O'Melia initially met at a dog park and had been dating for just weeks before they smoked marijuana together at his apartment in Thousand Oaks late night, May 27, 2018. Testimony showed that under the influence of a quote-unquote psychotic episode, she stabbed O'Melia more than 100 times with different knives.
Wow.
Also stabbing herself and her dog. And that's what really tipped the defense there, tipped the prosecution into saying maybe she was crazy because she was a quote-unquote dog lover. And there's no way she would have stabbed her dog unless she was having a psychotic episode, which was induced by cannabis. So I'm going to refrain from going too deep into this one because of the legal implication. I'm glad we have Dale on with us today. I'm going to open up this conversation because this is batshit fucking crazy. I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to cuss the first 10 minutes of the show, but this is fucking crazy. And I agree with this gentleman's family's lawyers here. Like, you have literally just opened Pandora's box and you do some wild, crazy shit here in California, and now there is precedent to just blame the weed.
You're volume down.
I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. Let's talk about it.
Oh, man, bro. I'll tell you what, man. If I commit some crime like this, I'm just going to hurt myself, too, and then that way I can use the same defense.
This is not the first time, guys.
This is
not.
Yeah.
No.
Back in the late 30s and early 40s, the federal government's marijuana expert, a guy named Dr. Munch, a veterinarian who did his work on dogs, testified 4 times in trials where women stabbed their husbands or significant others and claimed was marijuana-induced psychosis. And this idiot got on the witness stand and said, I smoked weed, I turned into a bat, blood dripped off my fangs, and therefore this woman had the same thing, and you shouldn't convict her. And all 4 of them were acquitted. Then Harry Anslinger called him up and said, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You're the federal expert. You're in these trials. One more time, you're no longer the federal expert. And it stopped. Mm-hmm. And now this is sort of a diminished capacity type of an argument. Oh, I didn't know what I was doing because I smoked weed like Dan White when he killed 2 people and said, oh, I was eating Twinkies. No, it's absolutely horse shit. But, a good lawyer can convince a jury of all kinds of things.
Yeah, the power is persuasion, right, Dale?
Yeah.
Man.
And you got to leave your common sense at the front door to buy that truckload of bullshit. But, here it is. It's done.
Is there any way that the family can appeal?
Well, it depends on how it was instructed, whether the judge made rulings that let evidence in or kept it out. There are some grounds for it. Typically, factual findings by a jury don't go very well in appeal. But in order to get this in front of a jury, they had to be instructed about something. And involuntary manslaughter tells me that the jury didn't think it was an intentional killing. It was involuntary. And it's manslaughter. It's not with malice aforethought. But that's about as far as I can go on this record. It's a dangerous precedent. As anybody who's experienced with pot, and you tell me I've been smoking pot for 50 years, and I smoked it and I stabbed some guy 50 times in the dog, and it's like I just don't buy it.
Over 100 times with more than one knife.
Man,
that's rage.
She must work out. She must work out.
I mean, that's incredibly fatiguing in and of itself, right? But let's not also forget that there was, and Rico, I was going to cover this article this morning too, so I read it this morning, and apologies for the dog in the background. But there is a sentence in there where she said something to the, Winston, stop it. Where she said that she would not have smoked marijuana in that moment or ever. Right. And to me, that implies that she's done it before.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so why did those episodes not result in a psychotic break? And
in the original story,
that's why testimony from this trial.
Mandy, in response to that, in the original story, she said that it was his weed, like whatever weed that he gave her.
It's always the guy's fault.
It was super high potency, and that's what made her go crazy.
I'm not buying that for a second. I think she was already batshit crazy to begin with.
Does she have a long-standing psychiatric background? I mean, is this something that she's been under treatment for? Schizophrenia, these kinds of personality disorder episodes can come on out of nowhere, really unexpectedly, right? They can, but this is like a whole nother level.
I'm
going to take the filter off on this.
Yeah,
I'm going to call bullshit.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm going to say not only bullshit, I'm going to call out the double standard of the justice system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call this the white woman defense. And that's what she got.
The Karen defense.
Because I know plenty of black and brown people that are sitting in prison right now for smoking weed and then doing a crime, and they didn't get a defense that says you got to smoke weed and get out free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, officer. I was on some crazy weed. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
The testing lab said it was 50%, right?
Yeah. Oh,
it's nonsense.
Anna Lewis is in the chat, and she says, "I bet if you ask her ex, he'd say he's not surprised."
Well, and there's where we might have some grounds for appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm working this case up and I'm looking for witnesses and the judge doesn't allow testimony or documents in or things like that, showing her past history of being neurotic as hell and perhaps having psychotic issues in the past, I don't know, there might be some grounds in there. But it's, as Luke called it, if you have a good lawyer and your color of your skin's the right, a lot of shit happens in the criminal justice system. But if you don't have a good lawyer, you're not the right color, that shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too hard to say that without having a big anger lump in my stomach. Because I sat and talked with people in prison, and I Luke did too, that are doing 10, 15, 20 pieces for basically nothing, and it's legal today.
Yep.
And it's like, how in the hell can we have this system when everyone I'm looking at here is not the same color as me? And I mean, even I was told, we were the golden children, you shouldn't be involved in it. Well, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay. We're the white, blue-eyed people that, you're not supposed to be involved in cannabis. I mean, that was the direct statement was made to me by my law enforcement friends. And it's like, okay, well, now it's on because, I'm white. But I got treated better than the average person that's not my color. And there's something inherently wrong in that.
Luke, I totally agree with you on this, Luke. I think you hit the nail on the head with this one. This is the total Karen defense.
I agree. I think that Laura Ingram, Tucker Carlson, and Kevin Sabet are going to have a field day with.
Oh yes, they are. Oh yes, they are. Because first of all, they're going to have the argument to say how cannabis causes psychosis. Okay, and then they're also going to have the argument of how crime is not prosecuted in California. And they're going to have a field day with this story. They got at least a week's worth of talking points out of this story, out of this judgment for sure.
At least a week.
At least. Thank God it's Wednesday.
Yeah, and really what it ends up being is just a woman, I won't say a woman, but a criminal defense attorney using cannabis as a scapegoat. Mm-hmm. And that's really what ended up happening. She probably, it's very speculative of a lot of the circumstances that went on, but we can obviously see that the attorney saw that this was going to be an angle that he could use. And listen, that's what attorneys do. I'm not mad at him. That's what he's paid to do.
Yeah,
or he or she is paid to do. They are paid to find the best defense, present the most compelling story, and convince the jury to not put me in jail. So if the attorney obviously accomplished that, but the whole thing that how this is being portrayed in the media is just BS. It's total BS. It was a cop out. It was a scapegoat to be able to use to get out as in a defense. And had this been someone that didn't look like whatever her name is, it would have been a totally different outcome. And I hate to say that. I hate to put out, or I don't hate it actually. I actually like to call out the double standard of justice because it's something that we have to fix. It's something that we can't continue to do and call it justice because it's not.
Dale, do we know the name of the attorney that represented her?
I haven't read the story.
Okay.
Typically, they'll put the name at the bottom. If it's from Law 360, they'll give you the name of the law firm.
Well, basically, Dale,
my question is about the expert here.
You have it, Rico?
If you're looking at somebody who's going to take the witness stand and say, I'm an expert in marijuana, first of all, okay, how did you get there? What's your foundation to say that smoking weed makes you lose your shit and stab somebody 100 times with 3 different knives? I mean, where do you get to that point? Because that, for me, I mean, I've qualified and testified as an expert on marijuana in trial before, okay? And I've never heard of this being legitimate. And I've argued with psychiatrists about how they claim smoking weed causes psychotic breaks and triggers schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. And I point them back to the Indian Hemp Commission report that kind of put the poo-poo on that. This was 120 years ago, where they said now that, eating hash does not make you schizophrenic. It may exacerbate, it may bring it on, but it doesn't cause this stuff. And I'd want what we call a 730 exam. If you're going to raise this, I want psychiatrists to evaluate you and see if you're competent. I say this. I think that's why I don't have enough information yet.
I think this lady should get locked up and sent to Waterbury.
Hey, Jason, this woman, her lawyer,
yes,
is Bob Schwartz from Wine Reeb Law Firm, criminal defense lawyer. And he is the type of guy you would see on billboards. His website is www.wehatejail.com.
Hey, just so you know, Dale, Armada Law Practice should look into recruiting this guy because apparently he comes up with amazing self-defense arguments.
This guy is fantastic. Yeah. Donald Trump should hire this guy.
Oh, man.
How about that?
Yeah, Adam reaches.
Oh, man. Adam just pulled up a picture. He's going to post this picture of this guy. Oh, man.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There we go.
From the side of a bus, right?
Yep.
Oh,
there he is.
Look, there he is. You guys see him? There he is.
I think he's DeSantis, best friend or uncle.
Hey, wait a second. Is
that Joe Biden's stunt double?
That's the CEO of Cureleaf.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, man. On that, we are going to roll into a commercial, and we are going to be right back.